What's up, YouTube? PokePrimer here. Primer ready to deliver you our Week 1 Team Builder here in the PRD, the Pokemon Remastered Draft. Over here on Goons Gaming, something. Goons Gaming Revived or something like that. I apologize 100% for forgetting the name of the group. I really should make sure that I have these things squared away. Goons Gaming Remastered. Here in Goons Gaming Remastered. Week 1, we are taking on Billy and his Rocky Mountain Rayquazas, and you can see his team is fucking bananas. Fucking bananas. Absolutely bananas. His team consists of G-Max Alcremie, Dialga, Galarian Darmanitan, Scrafty, Tangrowth, Stakataka, Chandelure, Zygarde 10%, Chinchino, Arctovish, Malamar, and Talonflame as his D-Max captain. So, a couple things to note. Again, I just want to make it clear that the D-Max captain and G-Max Mon cannot come to the same game, so he can only bring one of those two Mons. So, either D-Max Talonflame with, the potential for all types of nastiness with max airstreams and getting an SD up and stuff could be very problematic for us. Or G-Max Alcremie with its G-Max finales and whatnot, getting that healing on a constant basis. So I think either one can have an okay matchup against our team. I think if he were to go with any of them, I think maybe Alcremie could, but Talonflame is also so incredibly strong. All he has to do is get an SD up against something on our team, and then he just kind of can, blow through a lot of our team with that. So, definitely a lot of threats here. Obviously, Galarian Darmanitan threatening. Dialga hits like a truck. Always. Stakataka could be like a Trick Room component. My team doesn't work too great with Trick Room. We do have some Trick Room options on our team, but they're not great options, So, a lot of different things that could be interesting to see if they can be as problematic as I think they will be. But there's some definite threats here, for sure. But, yeah, let's go over the team that we're bringing and see if this team can beat him. First things up, we have Seaman the Kyogre. The leftovers, obviously, Drizzle for its ability. Surf, Ice Beam, Thunder, and Substitute. Substitute is going to be crucial in this game because there's a lot of things that I can put Kyogre in front of that it's forcing out. Things like Chandelure, Stakataka. Potentially could force out Zygarde if he thinks I'm Scarfed. Yeah, so a lot of mons that we can put this thing in front of that I can get a free sub up on. And once I get that sub up, like something like a Tangrowth, like an AV Tangrowth that might be a switch in, I can start smacking that thing with Ice Beams. Really hit really hard. Like, other switch-ins could be like Dialga, which doesn't appreciate Ice Beam that well. You could try to max in front of me with my sub, and I can still do some decent chip damage with this thing. Like, overall, there's not a lot of things that he can... And even Arctovish, if he brings a Water Absorb Arctovish or something, once I'm behind the sub, I can just click Thunder and smack him that way. So, realistically, there's a lot of different things that Kyogre can do once it gets behind the sub. Plus, max special attack is going to hit really, really hard. We have enough speed to outpace, Chandelure, base 80s and below, Chandelure, which is a good portion of his team. There's only a couple things that are faster than that, and the things that are faster than that, I don't expect to be running max speed. Or, we obviously can't outspeed anyway. So, I think Kyogre is going to be really, really good for us in this game. I'm really looking forward to seeing if it can pull off some crazy stuff. Kyogre's just such a good mon, and it forces a lot of prep, too, so it's going to be interesting to see how much it forces here. Next up, we have Genkai, the Mienshao, with the Choice Scarf, Regenerator, Close Combat, Knockoff, Stone Edge, and U-Turn. U-Turn for momentum, of course, but this thing is such a beast against this team. They only have one close combat switch in, two close combat switches. That's Talonflame and Alcremie, and only one of them can come to the game. So basically, he's guaranteed to have 5 Mons that don't appreciate taking a close combat from Mienshao. Knock off the advanced get rid of items. Stone Edge is important because if he does have the Talonflame, if I can get this thing in before he max Airstreams, Stone Edge guaranteed OHKOs it. Gotta get some chip damage, of course, to make sure he's not Gale Wing still, but we can OHKO it with Stone Edge, which is nice. But overall, this thing just can spam close combat against his team pretty freely. I mean, I guess he has Chandelure, but Chandelure is not, like, super threatening. I'm not threatened by it. I don't think I'm threatened by it, but we'll see. I don't think it should be too big of a deal. But I think Genkai has a lot of potential to do a lot of work in this game. This thing is going to be a huge threat against him. Being able to outspeed things like the Galarian Darmanitan especially is going to be very important for this match. Next up we have Gourmet, the Runaways with the Pasho Berry, Wandering Spirit ability. Stealth Rock, Toxic Spikes, Earthquake, and Trick Room. Max HP, 188 defense with a relaxed nature and 68 def. Now, there is... I think there's a rhyme or reason to this spread. I don't remember if there was a rhyme or reason to the special defense portion, but I do remember that, like, I believe the physical defense was, like, necessary to guaranteed live 1 Icicle Crash from Scarf Darm, I believe we live. This also lives a guaranteed Vicious Rend from Arctovish. Sorry for that little break there. My manager from work just called to introduce herself and whatnot. I just started a new job, and so everything's still kind of getting figured out, and we're going from there with that. So, cool stuff, exciting stuff, but getting everything set up for like the working from home stuff is a pain in the butt, of course, but it is what it is. Anyway, but we have Runaways. He has no hazard control at all on his team. Not an ounce of it. Nothing to remove hazards at all. Which, well, besides, like, Heavy Duty Boots, Defog, Talonflame, but if he's going to bring Talonflame, he's going to bring it as a D-Max captain. He's probably not going to have Defog. So, that's pretty cool. So, even if we just get up 1 layer of Toxic Spikes, plus Stealth Rocks, that'd be amazing. Because then we can really, really chip his team down and mess him up real bad. We can't touch the Talonflame, but that's fine, because Talonflame also can't really touch us. And we can set up Trick Room. And we have Amon on the team that pretty much just says hi to Talonflame, hi to D-Max Talonflame, especially under Trick Room, and can kind of almost pretend that it doesn't exist. So let's move on to that Mon right now. And next up we have Genbu, the Regirock with the Citrus Berry, Clear Body, Stone Edge, Ice Punch, Iron Head, and Body Press. 252 HP, 76 attack with an Adamant Nature, and 180 in defense. The 76 attack with Adamant Nature guarantees that Stone Edge OHKOs a D-Max Talonflame. And now, I'm not talking like regular, I'm talking like the bulkier stuff, like Max HP D-Max Talonflame. So, that's pretty sick. The rest I just threw into defense. I wanted to have Body Press because Body Press allows me to... It's the hardest hitting option I have to go against something like the Dialga, which I can take a hit from. Something like Galarian Darm, which I chew hits from. Things like Scrafty and whatnot as well. It just hits really, really hard on a lot of mons. I packed the Ice Punch because we do chew any hit from Zygarde 10%. The Citrus Berry is there because it guarantees that with our defense investment, we can take any one hit from something like Arctovish. We can tank a Vicious Rend, which is really nice. And then just smack it back. We also, I believe we take just slightly over half from like +2 max Steel Spike from Talonflame if it does indeed pack like Steel Wing or something to hit us with. So with that in mind, that's why we have the Citrus Berry, so we can get that right back and then just kill the Talonflame and just be left off at 75% and then have a dead Talonflame. So that's cool. Basically, this thing is just designed to just tank all of his physical threats. He has a lot of physical threats, and this thing just beats them 1v1 every single time. It's so nice. We just tacked on the Iron Head. It's just kind of like a way to get some super effective damage on the Alcremie if it comes. Pretty much the main thing there. This mon has a lot of potential to do some really good stuff for us in this game, so always excited to have Regirock on the team. Next up, we are bringing our D-Max captain this week over our G-Max Mon, and that is going to be our boy Kubara, the S-Cavalier. I decided that G-Max Flapple just did not feel good when things like Galarian, Darm, Dialga, and Dialga were running around, but they're faster and can probably OHKO it if invested properly, even after maxing. Also, things like the G-Max Alcremie if it shows up, things like D-Max Talonflame if it shows up. Like, all these things really mess up our boy Flapple, so definitely was not going to be a good matchup for him this week. So going with the S-Cavalier this time around, which I feel is a much, much better option. Just max HP, max attack, Brave Nature, as slow as can be, which makes this thing a perfect switch in, almost perfect switch into Stack Attacka. Because obviously it can have the Heat Crash, even though, however, we do have the Akaberry. Akaberry is important because it guarantees we live any Fire-type move once we're maxed from anything, and we can hit them back pretty hard. You know, something like a Max Flare from Alcremie, we can hit them back with a Max Steel Spike. We can, the Galarian Darm, I believe we live a Flare Blitz. I think if we do, it's just barely. Like, we don't live all the Fire-type moves perfectly well, but we live some of them. And that's what's important. I think Chandelure, we can hit that thing with Max Quake. We live an Overheat, I believe. I think Specs Overheat is something we live. You know, stuff like that. So it's nice to have that option. And then I just added on Close Combat. It's like, if we have a free turn to potentially click like a Max Knuckle, that would be really nice, especially if we're under Trick Room. This is why we're bringing the Trick Room this week, because it's kind of like a pseudo stop Stack Attacker from Trick Room sweeping us by shutting down his Trick Room, or setting up our own Trick Room for a Escavalier. It's pretty much one or the other. And then last but not least, we have Suzaku, the Choice Specs Tapu Koko. We have enough speed to outpace a max speed Talonflame. Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam, Volt Switch, and U-Turn. I have Volt Switch and U-Turn because realistically, the only thing that's stopping me from just clicking Volt Switch all game is the potential for Zygarde to be there. If Zygarde isn't there, I can just click Specs Volt Switch and his team just keeps getting chunked down. Nothing appreciates that. But realistically, Choice Specs Thunderbolt does a number on his team. Choice Specs Dazzling Gleam is there to kind of cover and hit the Dialga a little bit harder. Also to kind of catch Zygarde on switching if it wants to try to do that, if he does show up. But realistically, the Choice Specs Thunderbolt is really all I'm going to have to click. Especially potentially getting Paras and stuff on his mons is going to be really nice. Koko is really just here because I needed a 6-mon, and he doesn't really have great ways of stopping electric plus fairy coverage at all. He has nothing that stops that entirely, so that's pretty sick for us. I think it has the potential to do a lot of work for us this week, and we will see if that is the case, for sure. But that's going to be it for this team builder. If you guys have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you have not already. And until next time, I'm PokePrimer, and I'm signing off. Peace.